The HTML standard have introduced a new way of embedding videos in our web pages without the use of plugins such as Flash. The HTML5 video element. Like any other HTML element, the element has attributes, properties, and events that define it. For an in-depth discussion of these attributes and properties of this element, we would have to create a separate video. But for a discussion about the usage of this element, we will, however, highlight some of the few attributes. Here is our HTML web page. This is where we want to embed a video. To add a video or to embed a video in this web page, all we need to do is to add a video element where we want our video to appear. For a successful embedding of the video in a web page, for a video to appear inside the web browser, the web browser have got to be having the codecs which were used to encode the video installed. The browser can only determine whether it's got the codecs installed or not only after it has downloaded the portion of the video called the metadata. From the metadata, the browser can determine the width and height of the video, the codecs used to encode the video, and other necessary information that comes with the video. However, the browser can determine the codecs of the file without downloading anything. Using the type attribute of the element, the browser is able to determine the codecs of the file. To have a basic working demo of this element, the only required attribute is its source attribute, SRC. The SRC attribute of the video element is the path to where the file to embed in this web page is located in the web server. For sizing the element, the browser will use the width and height attributes. Provided that the requesting browser supports our video codecs. With this single line of code, we have successfully embedded a video in a web page. Different browsers support different codecs. There is no single codec supported by all the browsers. Depending on the browsers used by your target audience, you may be required to encode your file multiple times. After encoding the file multiple times, how do you list the files for the browser to choose from, and how the browser chooses the file to request is explained. In this lesson, we will explain about how to list the files that you want the browser to choose from. In addition to the explanation about how the browser chooses the correct file, we will continue to explain how the browser can try other alternatives if provided that the requesting browser does not support the video element. During the parsing of this web page, when the browser gets to this video element, the browser will look for the type attribute of this video element and the SRC attribute values. If these attribute values are not specified, the browser is going to look for the file to embed in source elements. If the first source element specifies codecs that are not supported by the requesting browser, the browser will jump to the next source element. If the second next source element also specifies codecs that are not supported by the current web browser, the browser will go to the next source element looking for the file to embed. The browser will go to the next source element until it gets to the source element with the specified codecs supported by that browser. When the browser gets to the source element with the codecs supported, with the specified codecs, the browser is going to ignore all of the code under that source element. All the code under the source element with the correct codecs is going to be ignored by the browser. The browser will instead go to the immediate next element after the video element to continue passing the web page. If the browser does not support the video element, obviously it's going to keep jumping to the next source element until there are no source element left. So to accommodate browsers that do not support this video element, which probably might support proprietary plugins such as Flash, you can use, or under the source element, you can use the object element to embed the Flash file. You need to convert your video file to be a Flash file for this file to appear inside the Flash player. The full discussion about the browser plugins is beyond the scope of this video. If you are very interested in plugins, you can go on Google and check to see how this works. I am just making this example just to highlight how browsers can take a different approach, provided that this browser does not support the video element. So in this case, the browser will keep jumping to the next source element until it gets to this object element. And when it gets to this object element, because most browsers do support Flash, it will understand it. It will understand this element, and it will allocate enough space for 640 for this element and 385